think is the biggest threat to America? I talk about Mormonism and Tim Ballard for a living. Do you think that I think that they are the biggest threat to America? No, I don't. But I'll tell you what everyone misses about the connection between the greatest threat to America and Mormonism and Tim Ballard. If you don't like what you're seeing right now in this country and you have an enemy in your mind, if you're MAGA, you'll say it's liberals. If you're liberal, you'll say that it's MAGA and Trump. But it's actually a common enemy against everyone who wants democracy. If that's you, whatever side you're on, there's a special interest group that has not your best interest at heart. It has its own. It's corporations, it's white nationalists and the evangelical right, it's dark MAGA tech bros, and it's other countries that are all vying for a slice of your being. So if you're watching this and you're not part of that special interest, they're against you and your ability to vote and your ability to have a voice in this country without, their special interest money and lobbying and influence burying it. Why do I talk about Tim Ballard and Mormonism? This country right now, what's happening is what happens when white nationalism, corporate greed, and for me, the religious delusions of a Rocky Mountain Bible fanfiction sex cult all share a brain. And until people stop worshiping heroes like Tim Ballard and start seeing the machine behind them, it's going to keep happening with different faces. But the same myth that has all just been propaganda feeding white nationalist egos, and thus the white nationalist agenda to keep his special interest agenda stocked with dopamine for stupid, easy to manipulate people who will vote their rights and morality away. And the way that white nationalists are controlling our country right now, it's a machine that needs to be called out for its boner, for going to war to bring about the end of the fucking world, to usher in the Messiah, and its racial profiling of anyone ICE decides to handcuff and throw to the ground to disappear without due process because they have brown skin, to call it out at every level, including its propaganda. The bigger picture of why talking about Tim Ballard matters so much is special interest groups. Think of this country as slipping out of the democracy that we once knew into a much stranger authoritarianism that is only able to stand up bolder than ever right now, fucking shit up on such a massive scale. Its boner pill it's made up of white Christian nationalism. That boner is only erect if it's got a story, though. It's no different than any other fantasy somebody might create to get erect, or any other fantasy that a special interest group needs the public to buy into, the marketing so that they have a public image, but private, devastating actions. So good boy, white savior myths are the stories that get authoritarian white nationalists hard, and Tim Ballard gave them a freaking coconut smasher. This man, Tim Ballard, he is the story of a tool that has been used in the special interest of white nationalists. The Sound of Freedom. The tagline to the movie is, God's children are not for sale, which sounds noble. But on behalf of which God are you running your operations to stop the sale of kids? Because Tim Ballard is in full-blown Islamophobia, shilling for Israel on a daily basis. So definitely not the Muslim God. So there is some amalgamation of a MAGA Christian Mormon God that everyone's like, okay, that'll do for now. We don't really know what you believe. But that worked for a while. Tim was the tool of the special interest white nationalist group on a large scale and also on a smaller scale. The subgroup of that wider white nationalist special interest group is the Mormon Church. So when the Mormon Church spit him out of their mouths at hyperspeed by denouncing his immoral actions, by leaving a banger of a statement that he was a skis and they didn't want anything to do with him anymore, that made everyone's head spin, everyone's like, well, what actions? This must mean his actions were extremely terrible. Yes, all day. But the response from the church is a corporate response. Tim Ballard doesn't understand. Tim, you were a member of the church, and that meant something to you. But to them, you are a tool. They exploit you for good PR the same way you exploit brown and black children in poor countries for your good PR. Corporations don't send you away with a love letter. They log you out of every site that you had access to an hour ago. It's called getting axed for a reason. Tim was a useful tool that was discarded when his own religious extremism, i.e. the couple's ruse, which was, the sexual abuse of women that he said was ordained by God, aka a Mormon apostle. You did it, and you got caught. As Taylor Swift says in Canceled, let me teach you the art of never getting caught. His own religiosity got too much for the corporation to see itself working with him. It's not sustaining anymore. It's not profitable for them to work with him in the future. He got caught. He got axed from the brand. He was good propaganda for the church as a godly Mormon guy. And from his actions, you can see that he became so religiously extreme that it's like he became co-gods with the church in his mind, and that the church isn't going to have that. He got axed from the Mormon brand subsection of the wider white nationalist special interest grouping of American theocracy. But what's funny is he's so desperately trying to stay afloat to the wider group of that Mormon grouping. So he has to bash the Mormon church now to get attention. He can't just leave. And the white MAGA Christian nationalists, they demand penance for the sin of being Mormon, it sounds like. So now he's calling them out for satanic sex abuse. And it's like, Tim, everyone would have been just fine if you're like, they aren't real Christians and now you know the real Jesus line. Like, that's coming in hot. But either way, he's holding on for dear life to the reputation that he's a good Christian crusader for God. It's flailing and it's funny, but we got to call him out for what he is, an opportunist for the white nationalist special interests of this country. Tim Ballard's earliest credibility, yes, came from the LDS Church's reputation around him being a family-oriented, moral, faithful guy. And he's referenced, by being friends with Elder Ballard that helped him. He helped him approve of his OUR missions, and that was like his godly work was sanctioned. But then when the allegations broke that the church issued that statement, that Tim Ballard's behavior is morally unacceptable and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has never endorsed or supported or anything been associated with Tim Ballard's activities, that statement was corporate damage control. That is pure brand protection. The church used him while his brand was profitable. The Mormon hero that was saving kids, and then they axed him when he got caught. You can do anything as long as you don't get caught. It's the same corporate logic that fuels special interest propaganda that is always image first, propaganda first, marketing first, keep the brand afloat, and cut off the bad PR that's bringing us down. So Tim and other white Christian men get axed sometimes when special interests say, you've left the lane that you're supposed to stay in. This is, what happens with white Christian nationalism. It's a special interest. And sometimes also foreign countries, whatever one comes to mind. Yeah, they're their own special interest. And no, they don't write love letters when you've stepped out of your lane, when you're their propagandist. You ever spoken back to your boss? I did once, and there was a whole HR board meeting over it. Imagine how billions of dollars circling special interest groups feel when their employees go rogue. I talk about Tim Ballard and Mormonism because it is all part of the ingredients that make up this country's boner pill that engages its erection of assault we're seeing right now. So yes, I'm going to keep talking about Tim Ballard and Mormonism. And if you can't see the bigger picture, I wish you well in life. But if you do, please subscribe so we can keep talking about this. Me and my co-host Ryan Fisher have spent the last 2 days working on an amazing episode that has a 2.5-hour rant that just came out on a Mormon YouTuber's channel with Tim Ballard just now. So while I'm working on that, this is what I have for you. I hope we don't miss this moment as an example of who Tim Ballard is in the bigger scheme of things that is taking away people's rights and controlling people through religion and propaganda.